Flag Wars is a story about a community in transition. And what you're going to see are two different groups. African Americans who have been residents of this community since the mid-40s. Most are elderly and working class, are challenged and affected by the influx of new people who happen to be white and gay that are moving to the neighborhood, drawn there because of the large Victorian homes that are there. What happens as a result of them coming into the neighborhood is obviously change. And so what we observe over a period of 4 years is how two groups who have been historically oppressed deal with change and difference.
Old Town is a very quiet neighborhood. If you were to walk down the street, you would think there wasn't a lot of conflict going on. But one of the things you would probably notice pretty quickly is the appearance of flags on people's houses. And the rainbow flag is what the gay residents hang when they're moving to the neighborhood. And the red, green, and black flag is what some black residents have hung in response to the appearance of the rainbow flag. So in a way, these flags are a outward manifestation of conflict that is brewing, and a lot of times brewing underneath the surface.
We really didn't go in with a hidden agenda. We went in with a curiosity to discover what happens. Does it look different when two historically oppressed groups try to live together? Or does it resemble what typically happens, or what we realize, what we typically know to be gentrification?
There are a lot of issues in the film. We deal with racism, we deal with classism, we deal with homophobia. The film deals with capitalism, American capitalism, but it's all explored through the drama that people experience and the effect that these things have on people's lives.
If I don't like the ending of this story, what am I doing to cause that ending in my life? Whether I'm in Poughkeepsie or in Idaho or in Los Angeles, California, what am I doing to cause the ending to this story? And what do I need to be doing to change the ending to this story?
Good morning, seniors, and happy Wednesday. That, of course, are the filmmakers of Flag Wars. So especially if you were absent yesterday for whatever reason, may have missed out on yesterday's assignment, once again, go back to your Google Classroom. Everything's placed there. You can go ahead and watch yesterday's assignment and bring you up to speed. For today, today's assignment is going to be a good one. We're going to do our goal for the day as collaborative groups through breakout rooms. You'll see how it's going to work here in a little bit, but it's problem solving as a group. And so a lot of these are based, these assignments, this skill is certainly based on and in alignment with the Cambridge International Program. And so once again, our author of the book, Jill Pavich, this is how my idea of this came about. And I searched for Flag Wars, and it was based on some of the concepts that are presented in how Jill taught her students. So let's take a look at this really quick, and then we'll jump into our assignment for the day.
In this video, I'll outline an activity I call Everyday Decisions. So recall from Module 1 that the Section A portion of the Paper 2 exam is all about logical reasoning. So our students are going to be presented with a data set. They're going to need to sort through that data reasonably and logically, analyze it, and draw some conclusions or make some judgments. So because of the nature of this part of the assessment, the very nature of this activity aligns itself with analysis and evaluation accordingly. But instead of hitting our students with practice test after practice test in order to hone and refine these skills, we're going to take the path less traveled on. Specifically, they'll create the scenario and design the data set to go along with it before challenging another group to present their persuasive response in light of all of it. So more on all that in the moment, but first, what is a data set exactly? Well, I mentioned before in Module 1 that data isn't just numbers and statistics. Data sets can also include things like brief descriptions, micro-prose, profiles of characters or different stakeholders involved in the decision, outlines overviewing the various options from which an individual has to choose, bulleted lists of additional data or other considerations, infographics, stats, numbers, and other information. The bottom line being that these data sets include tiny snippets of different bits and pieces of information that a student would need to sort through and make sense of. To kick off this activity, I asked my classes, what are some of the everyday or milestone decisions we make in our lives? Together, we generate a slew of these, things like picking a holiday destination or determining a wedding venue, buying a car or making some other big purchase such as a computer or a phone. To follow this up and to just lay it plain for my students, I zoom in on the concept of buying a house, and I actually show my students a clip from the popular HGTV network series House Hunters. You've got 3 houses that the homeowner is selecting from, and there's all this information that the audience is given, such as who the homeowner is, what their character profile is, what are the options for homeowning, and what's unique about each of those properties. And then there's a slew of other considerations that find their way into the mix as the show progresses. Things like geographic location, proximity to needs such as how close is this to work, or how close is it to the market or to my child's school? How far away will I be from family? Is there a railroad running through my backyard? So all of this information is presented during the course of the show, all of which must be factored into the final decision. Which house will I buy? Well, guess what, guys? The paper to exam, when this style of question comes popping up in section A, it's not much different. Lots of times, and generically speaking here, the question is worded something along the lines of, based on the available information, which one option is the most suitable decision? Justify your response in, let's say, roughly 100 words. So you can see how in alignment this is with the everyday decisions our students make on a number of levels, be that picking a college or something else. So I let my students watch the entire episode of House Hunters, for instance, except for the ending, before presenting them with this same question. And using any variation of a discussion format, I have my students pass that judgment. And as a quick additional point to raise, if you've ever watched House Hunters, you know full well that our decision as the audience member never matches those of the House Hunters. So that's especially going to drive home the point to your students that there's no necessarily wrong answer, provided you have a compelling enough case or a convincing enough evaluation.
Well, maybe buying a house isn't something that you're going to do every day of your life, but it's an everyday decision that people make. So that's the way that we're going to word that, okay? So when you're doing that, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. So the same way of choosing a college, choosing a car, probably a house might be one of the biggest purchases you'll ever make in your life, all right? So a lot of things to take into consideration. So we're scaffolding this and we're kind of breaking it down and looking at some of the different aspects. And so certainly some of the things that Flag Wars presents, there's so many issues: socialization, certainly discrimination is there, gentrification, as we talked about yesterday, and a lot of these zoning laws. And so that's kind of what we're focusing on here for day 2. Looking at, all right, if you desire to do something with your house, what are the steps that you're going to do to make sure that you're doing that legally, safely, all of those things? So that's what we're talking about today, and that's what we're going to be getting into. So I'm going to show you a brief little film clip here. As I'm doing so, I'm going to put you guys in breakout rooms and take attendance and all that good stuff. All right, and then we'll reconvene together, maybe watch a few more minutes, do a little viewing check. All right, so I need you guys engaged. That's what this is all about. Make sure that you're paying attention, all right, as we go through this. So let's jump back into a small little clip from Flag Wars.
You know that.
Anyway, you can't get nothing if I don't give it to you. I ain't giving you nothing. Hell,
You see that? You
Hell.
see that?
I'm saying it to say that's what I mean. I don't think negative.
No, you know, but you have to come to facts of reality.
And this reality
To-
is
to-
nobody's
to-
taking this
To
house.
what people are trying to do
I
to
already
you.
know this. I've been knowing this. I don't know. I've been knowing this. Try. That's right. You say try. Capital T, capital R, capital Y. Try. Yeah. Simple as
I'm
that.
glad you're thinking like that.
Yeah.
But
My
that,
father said, if you don't watch what you're doing, you have none of this. You think we work their life to let somebody just come along and take it because they want it, because they see it, because they like it?
Now, Miss Mitchell, again, a third-degree misdemeanor could put you in jail for 60 days and cause you a $500 fine. Do you understand that? You know that you have the right to remain silent, the right to make the state prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You're presumed innocent. Are you giving up the presumption of innocence and all those rights, pleading no contest to a third-degree misdemeanor zoning code violation, knowing I will find you guilty and knowing a maximum sentence could be 60 days in jail, a $500 fine? Is that correct?
Yeah.
The August 1998 emergency order, I assume that the emergency has passed and there's no longer a state of emergency. Do you have running water?
Yes, sir.
And does the water system work?
Yes.
And do you have flush toilets?
Yes.
And does the sanitary sewer system, that is to say, everything
Yes, sir.
flush and goes out with no problem?
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you reasonably need so that you're in compliance with zoning?
Didn't get me 60 days.